guys? Today I'm going to be running through how to get epic surfing footage on these little tiny GoPro cameras. As you can see on my page, I use them frequently. It's the main way I get clips, and although they'll never be as good as someone standing on the beach and recording, you can still get some pretty epic footage just yourself using this little guy. So I'll be running you through the mount I use, what to do when you're in the water, and the settings. First off, I'm going to be talking about the mounting system. So as you can see, right here is what I use. This is the regular GoPro mouth mount, the one that you could get off their website. I think they also sell it on Amazon. I love this because it's not on the top of your head, it's in your mouth and it's closer to your neck. Your neck has a lot of muscles. It's going to stabilize that shot as best as you can. It's not going to be perfect, but with the current hyper smooth and all that type of thing, it works a lot better than a head mount for sure. And another thing that's great about this little thing is when you're biting down on it, you can close your lips around it to ensure that no water is going to get in. So if you're kind of sucking down on it, there's not going to be any water getting in, so you're going to be in the clear for that. And that's really important for when you're paddling out. I always like to have mine in my mouth because I know where it is. If I need to record, I just hit the button. And if you could not make a watertight seal around this while you're paddling out, it would basically be impossible because there'd be water rushing in your mouth every time. This is the leash I use. It's a My Go leash. As you can see, it's pretty old and disgusting. I've used it for several years, and that's obviously a good sign. It hasn't broken. You can see it's rusting a little bit. Oh, that's wrong side. A little bit of rust, but nothing too crucial. This is great, especially when it's bigger, because it means you don't have to use a float. Floats are kind of obnoxious. They get in the way. They go for a lot. Here, I'll bring one out. It's not really that they get in the way, but they're just another thing you have to worry about. So if you have a trusty leash system that you know it's not going to break, I've had this probably 3, maybe 4 years and it hasn't broken on me. So that's kind of the way to go. And when you are paddling out, if it's super heavy and you need every last breath, you can just drop the GoPro and go for it. And another important thing is when you're getting brutalized, like say you're surfing some bigger waves and you wipe out bad, you could spit the GoPro out of your mouth and it's not a worry to you at all. So what I mean by that is when you pop up while the mount is in your mouth, the first thing you have to do is spit out. If you just inhale, you're gonna breathe water in. That's just how the mounts are. But if you just pop your hand out of the water, there's still gonna be water on it. So if you suck in, it's just gonna suck all that water straight into your lungs. So if it's ever really big and you just need to pop the mount out of your mouth and just focus on breathing and focus on surfing, I guess, like kind of getting worked, pop it out of your mouth and you'll be fine because you got the leash protecting you. Alright, so now I'm going to get into the settings I use. So I'm not the best editor ever. I like using SuperView because it's just the easiest. Everything SuperView captures, basically it captures it in a 4:3 ratio, and it condenses that into a 16:9, which is what regular video plays on. And that just makes it a lot easier for editing. You just put the clips right in. You don't have to edit anything. Why a 4:3 ratio would be good is because the picture won't have any fisheye effect like it will in the 16:9. So you can plug that into your editing software and then find the exact frame of that 4:3 picture that you want in your video. But for me, it's just a lot easier to do SuperView. It condenses everything into that one frame. I don't really care if there's fisheye. I'm fine with it. And then you can just edit straight from there. You don't have to do as much. You don't have to do as much in post, basically, if you're using SuperView. Another thing I do is I always am running 120 frames per second, and I always use hyper smooth. Once again, I don't like editing that much in post. I'd rather just have everything be smooth and perfect. So 120 frames lets you reduce the video to 1/4 of the speed. Sorry about that. 4 times slower. There you go. So that's very useful, especially where I live in New Jersey. You're not going to be getting 8-second barrels. So if you are living somewhere like that, maybe you could do 4K and 60 and then only, you know, reduce it 1/2. But where I live, that's just not very readily accessible. Most of the tubes you're getting are like a second or two. And another important thing that I forgot to mention earlier is what a lot of people do when they have a setup. What a lot of people do is they have their GoPro set up like this, which makes sense. Even if it's tubing, don't do this, because what'll happen is when you're surfing, for whatever reason, I feel like my head is always tilted down. I don't know why. Maybe that's just me, maybe it's everybody. But for me, when it's barreling, you gotta point the camera kind of like that, because then your head's gonna be down, the camera's still basically pointing straight forward, and it's gonna get that lip coming over you. I'll show a clip of me getting barreled when the camera is more like this. It does not look like you're getting barreled. However, there is a use for this. Say it's like 3 foot and not hollow, and you know you're just gonna be doing a bunch of turns. Angling the camera down is gonna point at your feet, so you're gonna see the board, what the board's doing, how the spray is flying off the board, and that's gonna be very important to getting good shots of you doing turns and laybacks and airs, if you could do those. I really can't. But yeah, that's the best way to record turns. All right, next up, this is a super important one, how to keep water off of your lens. It's kind of nasty, but what you have to do is repeatedly lick the lens. So you're out there, lick the lens. For some reason, your mucus just keeps the water right off of it. It's kind of the same thing if you ever go snorkeling, how you put your mucus on the inside of the goggles. It's the same effect, I guess. All the water that's gonna touch the screen is gonna wick off of it immediately, which is perfect. And another thing that you're gonna wanna do is if you have like a really mucusy, disgusting like lick, and if your camera screen is like full of disgusting mucus, you wanna dip the camera into the water. That'll clear all of your mucus off and just have a very small layer of water on it. And that is exactly what you want. It'll make your GoPro footage extra sharp, and that's perfect. So with the new GoPro, the 11 and the 10, I believe, they have this really bad lens that GoPro comes with. This isn't it. I'll tell you what I did in a second, but they have this bad lens that has hydrophobic like covering on it, and in theory that's great. But what it really does is makes it so when you lick the screen and use your mucus, that for some reason wicks to the screen in a different way and makes water collect on it. And if you don't lick it, water will find its way onto the lens anyway, and it'll still ruin your shot. So the new GoPro 10 and 11, the best thing I would say you could do is if you have one of these cameras, is get a third-party lens on Amazon or anywhere online, eBay, whatever, and just throw that on the camera, because it'll do a much better job at keeping water off of your screen than the newer GoPro lenses will. I don't know why they did that. Like, their intentions obviously didn't pan out, because it really hurts when you get a really good wave and then you look at the footage and there's just water droplets all over the screen. I'll throw a video up of that happening right here. But luckily there is a way around it for only like 10 bucks. That's just kind of what you have to do if you want to be a surf GoProer. So kind of sucks, but it's whatever. Right here, I actually had a GoPro 9 that I'm giving to a friend, and I took the lens off of that camera and put it just on my 11. This is the newest one. And the 9 doesn't have the weird, wacky filament thing, so it works perfectly fine. A few more settings that I use is I always have my camera on quick capture. What that means is when I'm just chilling out there in the lineup, the camera is off, and then when I hit the record button, the camera powers on and starts immediately recording. This is super useful because you're saving battery. You're only really using battery when you are recording, and obviously that means you could have a lot longer session with the GoPro. A few other things I do is I have the front screen on the 11. I think only the 10 and 11 have that, maybe the 9, not 100% sure. I have that screen off because for the most part I'm never going to be looking at that screen. It's kind of no use to me. You could have it on the mode where it shows you the settings of the camera, but then again, I have quick capture on, so I don't really need to be seeing the settings of the camera. I know that when I'm hitting record, it'll be using 1080 120 super view, which is obviously perfect for getting surfing clips. And I have the back screen programmed to 50% brightness, also to save battery. For the most part, I never touch the screen unless I get a crazy clip and I want to look at it. Can't do that in the winter though, because obviously you have gloves on, so your GoPro capabilities are a lot less in the winter for changing settings on the fly and that type of thing. But I do sometimes, if I get a cool clip, I'll swipe up on the screen, take my screen lock off, which I always have on just because I'm in the water. I don't want my settings getting messed with. I take that off and then take a look at my most recent media. So that's a pretty brief rundown of the equipment I use, how I get good footage, and the settings I use. So I would say if you have anything above like a 6 or a 7, GoPro 6 or 7, this is an 8. I've gotten most of my good footage on that just because this is newer. I haven't had too many great waves with it. So anything above a 7 with that good stabilization, you're going to be getting some really cool shots. And yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you get some sick shots with your GoPro. I think that GoPro's best action sport is surfing, because you get the mic, you could still record audio, you could still Nathan Florence it out in the lineup, and you also have a pretty good picture and some good slow-mo capabilities. So GoPros are awesome. I love them. If you don't love them, sorry about that, but I'm still going to use them. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in. Get some cool shots.